So the person without the mask, they needed to heal beforehand. When the person with the mask finished causing destruction in your life, you need to heal yourself. Don't jump back into another relationship unhealed. But you're just as bad as the person with the mask. You stop asking who they were and start accepting who they are so you can move on. We're not worried about who they were when they first came in. Who are they now? You grieve the fantasy, not the person, honey, because that's all it was a fantasy. You release the version that never truly existed. You forgive, not to excuse, but to free yourself, baby. You've got to free yourself. And then you reconnect to you. You re-love you. You rebuild you. You heal you. You give you what you need to become whole again. You do the work so that you can love again properly. Welcome to Win-Win with Gwen, hosted by Gwendolyn Shores, author, inspirational speaker, transformational coach, and CEO of Minds Above Matters. This is the podcast where your dreams ignite, limits shatter, and action leads to the life that you deserve. Your breakthrough starts now. Welcome back to the Win-Win with Gwen podcast, guys. I'm so happy to be here with you guys again this week. Let me be honest with you. If something in your life keeps falling apart, that's not bad luck, honey. That's not bad luck. It's called a pattern, okay? And patterns, they don't change until you do. So don't think that you're going to change overnight because it takes time. And don't think that it's just going to be some miracle. You've got to do the work. This is not a comfort podcast, by the way. So if you're here and you want to stay in your comfort zone, this is not for you. This is a coaching space. We talk healing, mindset, relationships, and the kind of breakthroughs that are required for accountability. Yeah, you got to face what you need to face finally, okay? That's how you heal, that's how you move, that's how you grow. Because your future cannot afford your past to keep running the show. Because, honey, your past is in the past. Your future needs what it needs today. Something new, something different. You don't just need more motivation. You need clarity, consistency, and the willingness to do the work. Guys, I see you. I believe in you 101%. But what matters more than my belief in you is when you finally decide to believe in yourself. Guys, give yourselves a high five for pressing play. That tells me that you're ready. You are ready and you are doing the work. And honey, it's always a win-win with Gwen. So welcome to the podcast that's going to guide you to your win. We're talking about the mask that we fall in love with, honey. This is about to get deep, so you better stay with me. If you want to hear some deep stuff about love, this is the episode. Look, you meet someone, and on paper or maybe just in your mind, they check off all the boxes that you ever wanted in a spouse. They feel like Mr. or Mrs. Right. You know what I'm saying? They're not perfect because nobody is, but they're right enough. They talk right. They show up right. They say those things that you've been waiting to hear. You know those things, honey. You know what I'm talking about. And slowly your heart gets involved. Oh my God, your heart's in deep. And so some of you might date them. Some of you fall deep. And some of you guys even get married to these people with these masks. And what you didn't realize at first, because how could you now? Now, I'm not blaming you for not recognizing it because you couldn't. And so what you don't recognize is that you didn't fall in love with them. You fell in love with the man. Because if they had shown you that unhealed version of themselves, the emotional, unavailable version of who they were at the moment, the narcissistic tendencies, the lack of self-love, unresolved trauma. If they had showed you any of that, you would have never given them access to your heart. Mask off, baby. But they saw something in you. They saw your light. They saw your wholeness. They saw your healed energy, your beautiful face, your physique that you worked on at the gym. And they wanted it. They wanted what you had, but not enough to do the work before they came to you, okay? They did not do the work before entering into your life. And honey, that's a mess when it happens. I've been there. So instead of healing themselves, they borrow your peace, they borrow your joy, they borrow your emotional labor. Mhm. And eventually, they break something inside of you that never needed broken. And now, because they didn't do the work for their life before entering into your life, once they leave or even while they're there, you now have work to do. You have to, one, when they're there, hold yourself together. And when they go, you have to heal. So when the mask comes off, there's an old saying: when someone shows you who they are, believe them. Now, that's crazy because here's the truth. Here's the truth. Listen to this. In the beginning, they did show you who they were. So you're not a fool, baby, for believing that they were who they presented to you because they had on a mask. And yes, you did pay attention to who they were. So when the mask finally comes off, when their behavior finally changes, when love becomes manipulation, when safety becomes confusion, your mind can't reconcile that, okay? Your heart starts grieving what once was. It knows what once was, and your body is still standing next to what is. And that creates this kind of pain that feels like a funeral. Yes, the mask died and the body is still alive. And that's what causes you to hold on. So instead of letting go, you hold on to fragments of what once used to be, because fragments of that mask, it feels familiar. Fragments of that mask feels comforting. It feels safe. It feels safer than the unknown. So you wait and pray that that comes back. So now you're not holding on to a person, you're holding on to a ghost. Yes, a ghost. That mask is now a ghost. Let me tell you something. I once had this person in my life, and they had a mask on. They came to me, and I didn't really know who they were because of this mask, but they showed me something amazing. It was so crazy that this person even had a car when I met them, and this particular car that I'm talking about, it was an old rundown beat up car, okay? Now, I worked in insurance for about probably 13 years. I was a manager at State Farm before I started doing this, which I love, you guys. And so when this person presented themselves to me, all buff, strong, had morals and values that came out of their mouth, okay? It wasn't their real reality. And I found that out later. Everything they spoke about, the eating habits. Yeah, their body looked like it was in shape, but it wasn't because they were eating healthy. Yes, they did work out at the gym, but they had a lot of mass they wore on different areas of their lives. They presented themselves as being hardworking, good with finance, all kinds of things. And I'm gonna get back to that car. That car, they told me was an antique. So I was like, okay, I met somebody, they got a car. They have their own place. Come to find out, the place they had was with the ex that they had left to be with me. So again, she had a house, he was there. I had a house, now he's here. He was accumulating things because of the people he was connecting himself with. And you couldn't see this because there was a mask of lies. The car wasn't an antique because he was telling me how he was putting work into the car. The whole time I was there, he put no work into that car. The time I was with him and he was with me, no work into that car, honey. That car ended up going into the junkyard. And Lord have mercy, I wish he'd have went with it sometimes, but it wasn't all that bad. Don't let me paint a picture about a person that was 100% bad. He just did not align with what and who I wanted in my life. And again, he showed me who he was. And I believed him when he showed me who he was. But baby, it was just a mask. So why is it hard to let go of the ghost? Because it was hard to let him go, honey. I experienced this and I wanted to share this with you. And the reason I think that it was hard to let go is because you're not holding on because you're weak. I wasn't weak. You're not weak. You're holding on because your nervous system learned them as home. That's what you're familiar with. Even if home was chaotic, Even if home hurt, even if home slowly drained you, it still became your home, your comfort zone. Comfortability is powerful. Habit is powerful. Familiar pain often feels safer than unfamiliar peace. And that's crazy, but it's real. So I get why we stay, why you're still there. And that's when people say things like, I don't even recognize them anymore. I'm miserable more days than I'm happy. This is who they used to be. You start hearing things like that. You'll hear them tell that person, like I used to tell my ex, you're not who I met when I first met you. You have to say things like that. That's because I'm living with a ghost. So this is who they've always been without the mask. So no, you're not a fool, honey. They just mask who they were. And now that they don't align with you, you feel stuck because you're chasing a ghost and you're never going to get that back. So let's talk about courting. Courting is an energetic, emotional, and psychological attachment that's formed through intimacy, through trauma bonding, through sex, through shared experiences and emotional dependency. Does that sound familiar to you? Chords, they don't disappear just because the relationship ends. That chord is still there. And that's why you can miss someone who hurt you. You may be asking yourself, that person did me so wrong. How can I still be missing them? How can I still feel like I want to pick up the phone and get back with them? That's why you feel that way, okay? That's why logic doesn't override emotion. That's why healing feels physical sometimes. You're not crazy, you're courted. So you remember that word because you're not crazy. You're courted. And cords must be consciously released. You have to be consciously aware that there is a cord so that you can do the work that it takes to detach yourself from that cord of that ex, of that ghost, of that mask. Here's what to pay attention to, guys, to make sure you can sometimes see if a person is wearing a mask. And it's not their words, but it's their patterns. Pay attention to people's patterns, not what they say, okay? How do they handle accountability? Do they point the finger all the time at someone else? Everything was someone else's fault. How do they respond when you say no? Do they listen or do they wait to speak? Do they do their actions stay consistent when they're uncomfortable? Or are they jumping from spot to spot looking for excuse after excuse? Watch how they treat people that don't give them things that they want all the time. Okay? How do they talk about that person? Pay attention to how they talk about past partners. Ooh, had I listened then, I would have knew who that person was. Pay attention to how fast they rush intimacy. Pay attention to whether they mirror you or become you. Honey, they need to come into that situation with their own identity. If they're too much like you, then you better pay attention to that because mirroring without identity is a mask, 100%. And intuition always whispers before pain screams. Half the time, you hear or feel that this person's not who they say they are. Pay attention to your intuition. Now, you've got to do the work. I'm always talking about work. You've got to do the work when it comes to your relationship. You got to do the work before the relationship. You've got to do work during the relationship. And peep this, honey, you've got to even do work after the relationship. So don't think that when you get into a relationship that there's no work. Don't think before you get in a relationship there's no work. And don't think that once the relationship ends that there's not work. Love is not just dinners, chemistry, and attraction. It's emotional regulation, it's communication, boundaries, healing. You've got to take care of the things that makes a relationship work. You've got to do the work. Connection without consciousness creates destruction. You cannot build a healthy future on a foundation. So the person without the mask, they needed to heal beforehand. When the person with the mask finished causing destruction in your life, you need to heal yourself. Don't jump back into another relationship unhealed. But you're just as bad as the person with the mask. You stop asking who they were and start accepting who they are so you can move on. We're not worried about who they were when they first came in. Who are they now? You grieve the fantasy, not the person, honey, because that's all it was a fantasy. You release the version that never truly existed. You forgive, not to excuse, but to free yourself, baby. You've got to free yourself. And then you reconnect to you. You re-love you. You rebuild you. You heal you. You give you what you need to become whole again. You do the work so that you can love again properly, self and others. Healing doesn't mean you'll never think of them again. You'll still have them in your thoughts. It means that they no longer control your nervous system, honey. You don't let anybody control your nervous system. Healing means peace feels louder than memory. Healing means your body no longer braces for love. You don't say, oh my God, I'm scared to get in another relationship. That's when you know you're not healed. If you're scared to get in one and you jump in one, you need to wait till you're healed. That's a sign. Healing means choosing yourself consistently, doing what's right for you, doing what feels good for you, doing what aligns to you. Make sure you don't put a mask on, okay? Take care of yourself. If this episode hit you, if you felt seen, something unlocked inside of you, please share, like, and subscribe. And I definitely want you to comment. Someone you love needs to hear this conversation, and I want you to share it with them, okay? Don't be a gatekeeper. And remember, you are not crazy or broken because you love someone deeply. You are brave. It's brave to love someone. And now you get to love yourself with the same intensity prior to the mask and after the mask. I see you. I believe in you. And until you believe in yourself, here you go. Borrow my belief in you. And believe me, you are amazing and capable of winning. But you've got to do the work. Guys, it's always a win-win with Gwen. And until next week, I'll be waiting to see you same time, same place, 6:15 a.m. every Friday, right here on Win Win with Gwen. Well, we always win. Bye, guys.